Are you looking for an escape from manufactured truth wrapped in selfish agenda? Don't you just want to have a real and raw conversation, all masks and rules aside? That's what you're getting here at Titan Evolution Podcast. Get rid of all the nonsense information and discuss everything under the sun without filters. Listen to real stories of real people who will put your current perspectives to the test, guide you on living the life you truly want, and see everything free from judgment and pretenses. Time to get rid of those unhealthy environments and let your authentic self shine. Here are your hosts, Travis Johnson and Carol Carpenter.
Welcome to the show, folks. Oh my goodness, Travis is already flipping people off. It's going to be an interesting show. He's already in the mood. I'm Carol Carpenter, and that is my co-host, Travis Johnson. And we have a special guest on our podcast today. His name is Fritz Colinet. And Fritz is the executive creative director of Retna Media. Fritz has worked for more than 25 years as a creative director, designer, and brand builder, specializing in strategic communications, offering offline and online marketing solutions. Welcome, Fritz.
Hello, how are you guys doing today?
Freaking fantastic.
Awesome. Everybody sounds great. They look great. So I can't wait to get started.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Let's
exciting
dig
stuff.
in.
It's exciting stuff. Everyone, are you at home, Fritz? Because Carol and I are both gallivanting in other places.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, I'm in the office. So this is my office setup.
You're at home, like home office setup, right?
Office, away office from the home.
Okay.
So the home office right now, there's a lot of construction at the house. So
Loud.
Yeah, good call. I had someone try to call me in a crowded coffee shop for a Zoom, and I was like, what makes you think I can possibly use this?
Probably with a little forward thinking in that, right? So they're like, okay, yeah. It works well in my ears, but they don't get that they don't have noise cancellation in their iPods. So
No, yeah. We're gonna kick it off straight, and we're gonna ask you, Fritz, what makes you a Titan?
You know, Travis, that's a great question. The first thing that comes to my mind of what makes me different is that the challenges that I've had, I look into myself and go, okay, you know what? That's just minuscule. I can overcome that, right? In my life or growing up, there were challenges, right? And I overcame those challenges. I think with ease. Everybody else may think something else. I think with ease, but the can-do attitude that I have in me, the can-do attitude that I instill in everybody else on the team or the people around me, you know, it's just that challenge is just a challenge. It's not an obstacle, right? It's not here to
I like to call those speed bumps.
Exactly.
Just a minor speed bump.
You know, that's great. I'm gonna have to use that from now on, speed bump, right? You know, and in life we always have these challenges, and there's challenges, whether they're personal challenges, business challenges. Every day there's something that's their job to kind of distract you, right? Or to put pause on what your goal is, right? You have to dig in and say, okay, you know what? Forget about it. I'm just going to go and do what I have to do. And a lot of times it's fear.
Fritz, don't you think it's about perspectives too? I mean, if your mindset is like, you know, it's a speed bump. I know it sucks, but we'll get through it, right? It's your perspective on life. If you treat that challenge as something that you can't overcome, what are you going to do? I mean, at the end of the day, you're never going to overcome it because that challenge is going to be the wall that you can't get past, right?
But if you're the fear, right? You can't feed the fear, right? Like, so we all have these challenges or fears of whether it's talking in public or, you know, showcasing your creativity and someone not liking it, or someone who you hold in high regard, they tell you that you're never going to make it. And, you know,
oh God, we've all had those moments. I mean, you talk to actors where, you know, the actor at one point was told, like, yeah, you suck, don't ever go into acting, and then they become these celebrity superstars, right? Don't listen to people, because at the end of the day, you know you best. If this is your dream, if this is your ambition, don't you believe that it is your duty to at least try, and if anything, the greatest part is proving people wrong, right?
I love that, right? And I tell myself this: tomorrow, would I be upset with myself that I didn't do XYZ today? And if the answer is maybe or yes, maybe is a yes, right?
Yeah.
So if I would be upset with myself, then you need to, whatever you have to
Do it.
do it.
Yeah.
Because, every day, I split it up into three categories. It's basically three segments, right? 8 hours a day. So you have 8 hours of sleeping, 8 hours for working, and 8 hours for, I call it shit showering, shaving, and Netflix and everything else, right? So, and you only could take hours from those. So it's not going to come from work, right? Most people, it's not going to come from work. It's either going to come from sleeping or, your lifestyle, right? So you got to figure that out, right? So dig in, do what you have to do, and then strategically position yourself for the future, right?
Oh, I love that, Fritz. It's when you have that perspective, when you're able to look at the thing and be like, what is it that's going to have long-term impact? What is that thing? Is that thing that happened? Do I need to attach emotion to that? Do I need to have that wreck my whole day or my whole week? I was talking to a friend of mine here in Vegas, and he was talking about like levels of attachment. Like level 1 attachment, it's a thing, you're kind of interested, it's whatever. Level 5 attachment's like your NFL team loses, and then you're like, you throw a tantrum for like 3 weeks. Like level 5 attachment, like that's part of your identity. If they don't win, if they lose, it means you're a loser. If they win, it means you're a winner. Like there's people out there that let every little circumstance dictate who they are as a person, how they treat others. And that's no good for me.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. You have to be able to compartmentalize, how you're reacting to certain situations in life, whether it's how someone reacts to you, how you're going to react to that person, what you're going to say, and really what you want the outcome to be. Like a lot of times we're not thinking about the outcome. As a creative, as an artist, I went to Pratt and I went to the High School of Art and Design. And one thing that they do not teach any artists is how to talk about their work, how to pitch their work, how to talk about their work.
Oh, isn't that funny considering what you're doing, right? Because in a way it's marketing, and yet they don't teach you how to market yourself. Right? So isn't that a slap in the face?
So at the High School of Art and Design, so I draw, sculpt, paint. So as an artist, a younger artist, and even starting out in the design field, everything that I had to do to get a job was all about my portfolio. So when I went to school to get into the High School of Art and Design, was my portfolio first, right? So to get into Pratt was my portfolio first. So to get a job with my portfolio first. So they never really met me, they met my portfolio. So then my portfolio spoke for me when I wasn't there. And then, phase 2, let's meet the person behind who creates this work, right? Where everyone else, it's the other way around.
Correct.
You see the person, you see the resume, you meet the person, it's kind of a hand in hand. Here, you drop your portfolio off and they tell you come back next week.
Wow. Can you imagine if your interview actually went that way for any other job? It would be really interesting, wouldn't it?
Well, it does, right? You drop off your resume, the work that you've done, and then they call you in for an interview. It works the same way.
To some degree, but you're talking about artistic work, right? You're not just talking about a resume of what, where you worked, your duties, your responsibilities. That's completely different. You're talking about creativity, artwork, what you birthed, you put your heart and soul into, and then you're dropping it off for others to view, and then they decide whether or not, they want to have an interview with you. And that's got to kind of be a strange phenomenon, right?
It's odd because when you actually do meet someone and you're talking about your work, you really haven't talked about your work ever. So now you're explaining to someone what this is, and if someone doesn't like it, like early in my career, supervisor would, I'll create something and then I would show them and they're gonna say, well, I don't like that, right? So I would never ask why you didn't like it. So I just assume,
Oh,
they didn't like it. They know better than me, right? So you're not really taught to really investigate. So push comes to shove, I just got tired of it. It's like, you know what? Why you don't like it? Okay, this is the reason why I did X, Y, Z. This is the reason why I chose this color, because psychologically this color means X, Y, Z. This, I chose this font because it evokes this kind of emotion, right? So now I was able to tell a story behind the reason why I'm creating it. A lot of creatives don't do that. Even to this day, even with young creatives, I tell them, like, well, why you chose that color? And I don't want to hear because it was the closest one on the palette, right? Because the client doesn't want to hear that, right? So
there
like,
has to be a meaning. It has to. When I name companies, it's really interesting. Like for me, when I name a company, it has to mean something very deep. Like like Iron Dog for me, when I named that company, it was because I was born the year of the Iron Dog. The year dictated which element I was in, and I was born the year of the dog. So when I created this company, I created it using that, that name, because it's very personal. It's very, and then even down to picking the colors was very personal, because it means something.
Like everyone loves a story, right? It's a story. So everyone loves a story. Humanity remembers stories. Now, when I look at the Iron Dog logo, now I have this story in my mind about everything else, right? That you're talking about right now. So that's
it adds to it. It adds to the personality of the individual, the company. It shows how much they care, that they think all the way down to these, minute elements. I think people that care that much, there's a meaning to everything that they do.
Oh, yeah, fully agree, fully on board. But I love talking politics with a lot of people. If they can articulate why they feel the way that they do, and it's not a level 5, stage 5 clinger of who they are as a person, and can actually talk about it, because I have an opinion on whatever political stance, and I'm assuming that everyone else has at least a slightly different take on it based on all our experiences. And if they're willing to walk me through the story so I can get a little bit of perspective, I may not agree with them, but now I have another little touch point, a little bit of reasoning on why they are the way that they are and how they think the way that they think. And it allows me to connect with them so much better. And it's the same thing with art. If you can walk through your reasoning on why you do the things that you do the way you did them, if you really understand about that within yourself, and you can communicate to someone else, then you can do anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and that's what's really important. Even like everyone's name, when you talk about naming a company, everyone has their own personal brand.
Yes.
Right. So your name, everyone should know what their name means.
Okay, so tell me, what does Retna Media mean?
Oh, my name, my personal name, Retna Media. So Retna Media Retna Media is retina for the eye, so we see things differently. So that's why we called it Retna Media. So when we're going to create advertising or strategy positioning, we see things totally different from everybody else.
Unless you're Travis, who's wearing sunglasses and he just doesn't, he doesn't give a shit, and he just.
Well, this is so what he just said about having that thing. I just got to speak at the Military Influencer Conference in Vegas, and I had these sweet yellow shades with me everywhere I went, and they became a prop and part of the story of, oh, you're gonna meet Travis, a podcast guy, get a picture with his shades, and so everyone was wanting to do this. I've got another friend here, the guy I'm staying with. He's got one of those old school Lasonic boom boxes, like from the early 90s. And actually we dressed up as hip hop artists. We had the gold chains. We had the shades on, like the gold, like louvered shades. We went down to Fremont Street. We all had, because he's got a collection of them. And then we did like a impromptu photo shoot on Fremont. Just like that got that kind of attention while I was speaking at the conference. It was something about people getting to put the shades on as it's like part of the thing. So it's probably going to end up being a prop in all the things that I do now. And especially because it's yellow, right? Fritz knows about
Why
color,
yellow?
right? Well,
why yellow?
Yellow is considered really bold, and most people think it just won't look good on them. So when they look at it, they're like, oh, why yellow? And I was like, put them on, right? We put them on, we take the photo, and I say, how do you look? And it always, without fail, gives them this whole sense of, that's not too bold for me anymore. That's something that I can wear. That's something I can pull off. That's something that I can do. Because yellow sunglasses aren't something that you see every day. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a bold statement, man.
Yeah.
Old color, right? It says slow down. It says caution. And it also says it looks like it's kind of like a lead yellow.
Come on, yellow. You can speed right through.
For you, I bet it does.
There's still time.
Green and yellow lights are both green lights to Carol.
Yellow becomes a suggestion. You might wanna.
I got a friend that describes it. He gets pulled over. He like yellow lights are a go for him too. And he'll get pulled over, and depending on what part of the country he is, he was like, that wasn't even Auburn orange yet. That was still Syracuse. I should be good. And then if you make the cop laugh like that, they let you off with a warning.
Well, if you make anybody laugh, they'll agree with you most of the time.
Well, can you imagine what their jobs must be like? I mean, you get people that are sitting there lying to you, like, oh, I never saw the speed limit or whatever. I mean, if you can make a cop laugh at the end of the day, you just made his day. I can't imagine what they have to go through every time they pull some jackass over. If you can make him laugh, if you can make him just like chuckle a little bit, can you imagine the highlight of his day?
Fritz, you were doing 55 and a 35. Sorry, officer, I was doing a 75 and a 35.
Whoa.
The hardware is defective. We're going to have to do this again. Let me start back there, and let's see if we can capture this correctly.
Oh, that's great, Fritz.
Oh, Fritz, hey, when did you start this creative side of you? Or were you always creative and you just kind of, fell into it and you went?
I was always creative, always
artistic.
So, always artistic. I always drew, always painted. So as a child, I was also an entrepreneur child. I think most creatives are entrepreneurs, right? My brothers, when we'd come home from school, they'd go out and play, and I'd come home and I told myself I had to draw this one thing, whatever it was, on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, like the whole thing, like edge to edge.
Fill
it. I had to fill it. So I did that for years, right? So I would always miss out on going out and play because it got too late, right? But I always challenged myself, like, hey, come home from school, this is what you got to do.
So what was your first job?
Oh, well, my first job was actually painting jackets for folks in the neighborhood, right? So that's how I made her money.
So this was your young entrepreneurial self.
Exactly. So like my first 9 to 5 was like way later on down the road. So I was making to buy whatever, buy painting jackets or painting jeans, pants. Folks wanted a particular type of design on their pants and they wanted to be different on their name. So I would do that in my, younger and as early teens. And they're like, oh, that kid, he can knock it out for you. He does it really well. So I had this like reputation for doing it very well at a high level because I just practiced on my own stuff, but I made sure I charged them enough. If I messed up, I could replace the jeans or the jean jacket. Right.
I've
So,
not heard of this. I've not heard of painting clothes or jackets. And I've heard
yeah.
of bedazzle because, sparkly, but I haven't ever heard of actually painting jeans. Like what year, what time frame was this a big thing?
So, okay, in the hip hop genre, so you would have your jean jacket and you'd paint your name on your jean jacket, right? So, and I was pretty good at graffiti, right? So I would
Oh, wow.
graffiti their name.
For reasons we won't get into, I was good at graffiti. Yeah.
But I was pretty fast too, right? So, well, that's because it helped me to draw letters and understand composition of letters in positive and negative space really well, right? So graffiti artists have that talent that can put letters together that you normally wouldn't put together, especially from a design perspective. So I designed these jean jackets, right? And some folks wanted, their names. Some folks wanted like New York or the Bronx or whatever. Skyline, or they wanted other characters, right? So they either wanted Disney characters or they wanted like Marvel characters. So I was learning how to draw before I had like classical or traditional drawing techniques from teachers or professors. But you kind of learn how to draw, like say, drawing the Marvel way. So I would draw like, one of the Marvel characters, or draw the.
But then you get to kind of do a spin, right? Because if you already have the talent, and then you go to school for the education, the traditional education, you're just adding another element to it, but you almost are twisting it to your style because you already have developed that, correct?
And this is one thing that a lot of folks don't realize is that trainers or teachers, they teach you during a certain time frame, right? If you want to get great at your craft, you have to put the time in on your own time, kind of those three sections on your own time to get better at craft. If everybody is in your classroom is doing the same, investing the same amount of time, you're going to go with the herd. And if you're okay with going with the herd, then that's fine. But if you want to outpace the herd, then you're going to have to do things on your own.
You got to do work, man.
Exactly. You got to get your hands dirty, roll it up, and there's going to be, things that you want to do in life. You're like, hey, I want to go over here. I want to go outside and play. Well, no, you got to get this done.
What's your priority at the end of the day? Do you want to excel beyond everybody else? Because time is the only asset that we have that we can't get more of. You have a limited amount of time every single day and in your life. And you can't squeeze out more time for how you try to do it. So if you want to get better, you got to learn to control it and use it to the best, the best you can, especially for what you want to achieve.
Have an expiration date. All these parts have an expiration date.
Yep.
So you gotta, while you have these parts on you, these body parts, organs, like you gotta feed it the right thing, you gotta move it the right way, and you gotta not only give it the right education, so then do what you have to do. So that was, that's what I did when I was younger, right? That was my first job, right? And my first real, I guess, real 9-to-5 job was I worked for a check cashing company.
Yeah.
Fritz, the predatory lender. That's what I'm talking. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So in certain neighborhoods, they don't have banks, so they cash their checks at check cashings, right? So
I'm thinking payday loans, not check cashing. It's like you're a loan shark, Fritz. Like no. What? So you're like in Houston now, but you were originally from was it the Bronx?
Yes, the Bronx. So I grew up in the Bronx, born and raised in New York. Grew up in the Bronx, 4 blocks away from the Bronx Zoo.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, playing tag in the Bronx Zoo is actually really fun.
Playing tag in the Bronx Zoo.
Elaborate.
Yes.
Elaborate.
So, you're neighborhood kids, right? So neighborhood kids, we know where all the entrances and exits of any building that's close by, right? So now, back then kids actually played in the street. Now no kids play in the street, right? So when you're outside, you're kind of walking around, you're like, oh, there's a hole in that fence right there. What does that hole go to?
Oh,
Okay.
dear God.
So it's like, so you can get in without having to pay.
But not into an animal enclosure, right?
Oh, no,
Okay. Okay.
So
Are you trying to repeat what Carol did on Safari? Is that what you're trying to do?
Oh, God.
No, I'm not trying to. I don't want you to think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I got up close and personal with a giraffe.
A giraffe? Where did you go to
South Africa. So when I was engaged to my soon to be husband, now ex-husband, he one of the things I really wanted to do was go on safari. So we ended up in South Africa at a private game park named Sabi Sabi. And one of the things that they do is you could do a night safari and a dawn safari. But at the night safari, they have this, it's quite civilized. They ask you what drinks you would like. They have a bar that they take with you on this. It was amazing. And it was awesome. So we got to the place where we're going to do what we call the sundowner and watch a sunset and have a cocktail. But I'm the only female in the group and I had to use the restroom. So I was like, I have to, pee. Can I go? And they were like, oh yeah, just walk over here. Just make sure that you can hear us, right? That way, if we need to help you, there's a tracker with a gun, right? So I'm sitting here going, great. This is my first thought as I'm squatting to pee. So I'm peeing, and next thing I know, the guys hold up a spotlight. And I'm like, this is not funny, dude. I mean, this is not cool. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they said, look up. And I look up and I'm literally peeing at the foot of a giraffe. And I'm terrified because I'm thinking he's going to stomp on me. And they're like, yeah, no worries. Don't worry about him. He won't bug you. That I have never been that close to a giraffe. And it was terrifying and fascinating at the same time.
You don't realize how tall they are until you get really close to them.
They are giants.
It's like, there's like folks who are like athletes. Like when you get close to them, you're like, man, you're a lot bigger in person, right? Or athletes, you're a lot smaller in person.
Yeah. I get that a lot. You're a lot smaller in person. And if you haven't met Fritz, I had the opportunity to meet Fritz earlier this year, and he is a tall dude. Like he is bigger in person than I expected. And getting an opportunity to sit and talk with you was amazing. He's just an amazing guy. If you want to learn anything about branding, marketing, pick his brain. He's awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you. It was a great time that we sat down and we were talking. It gave us, it gave me some grace to really sit down and meet with you and hang out, because I didn't think that we were going to have that time. And
we got lucky though, because so what happened was, and Travis didn't hear about this, but there was a lot of people to obviously meet, right, and spend time with. But you can't meet and spend time with every single person. And so Fritz was one of the individuals I didn't get to spend time with, but somehow we ended up going about the same time to the airport. So we all kind of got in a car and we got to the airport early. We spent some time talking. My connection was also in Dallas, right? So we had a huge amount of time, even getting on before the plane and afterwards, because I had a layover. before I could get into Seattle. So we had plenty of time to talk. It was awesome.
I think that was almost the same experience we had when I met Fritz, except for I think he was dodging me that whole first time we met.
Oh no, really?
No. I never thought, I just observe a lot and I just wait to, I digest, right? And so that's my artistic nature, just to observe a lot and digest and then interact.
Yeah.
Observe, digest, and interact. For those of you people struggling out on figuring out how to do life, observe, digest, and interact. That's got to be pretty helpful. So many people are just primed to react, especially if they're that stage 5 clinger level. Like
agree.
every little thing sets them off. And then, like we learned from Mario, they get addicted to those chemicals. Even if they don't want to do it, even if they know it's wrong, they get addicted to the chemical that they're getting based on the behavior. Like, so people that are like love drama. Oh, I don't love drama. Really? Because I'm pretty sure you stir off a fair amount of it up every single day. If you don't love drama, you must love the chemical reaction that you're getting from that being a thing. Same with people that gossip, whatever the thing is, that chemical, you get hooked on it and good luck doing anything else.
Well, you're right. That's why everyone loves, car wrecks, right? They love car wrecks. They love, reality TV. And the reason why they love it is because there's a car wreck, right? It's interesting because human nature, we don't realize that we're more the same than different, right?
It's the truth.
When everyone tries to be decisive, you're just like, listen, trust me, everybody wants the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants the same
One of my
thing.
favorite things about traveling overseas is I spent a year in the Middle East, and I didn't know this based on the news media coverage. There's actually families over there, husbands, wives, kids, doing family stuff. I had no idea. Everything you see on the news is all hellfire and brimstone, and someone's got a nuke and there's terrorism, and you go there and you meet the people, and it turns out they're just people. They just want to be relatively safe, secure. They want to have a good job. They want to have good things for their kids and have their kids have it better than they do if you've got kids. It's
no different than all of us.
No different than all of us. We want to get that initial acceptance into the group, and then we want to be praised for our individuality.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So, growing up in the Bronx for me was it was a little tough because being a creative, right? So, and when I went to the High School of Art and Design, you cannot look cool on the train for 45 minutes with a T-square and a 4-foot portfolio, just throwing it out there, right? So you got to go through these neighborhoods with a T-square in my backpack, a black portfolio that was literally like 4 feet, and I was a little guy, right? So I look at my son, I'm like, I was like his height, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the train, you have this, besides your backpack, you have this portfolio briefcase. Everyone's like, why is this kid in the way? And like his stuff is in the way.
Yeah.
So we just
Yeah. Oh man.
What did that do to you? What was that feeling? You're a kid, you can't possibly look cool. I think you solved that problem. And then you're in the way. Like, what does that do to you as a person?
Well, one, you have to learn how to fight if you have a T-square on the train, right? So you have to learn how to fight, number one, right? Or be able to stare at someone in the same manner or differently. So exactly just like that. So they're like, okay, he might use that T-square on me, right?
Right. You
So
almost
you
have to
don't
be
look like the
almost kind of crazy looking so they leave you alone.
Exactly. So you don't want to look like the victim until you get to a certain, area. Then after that, like your representative could go away, right? So going outside, you have your representative. All the walls come up, right? And even in business, right? In business, the same thing. You have your representative who meets the clients, who interacts with the clients, right? I try to make sure that there's no representative. Like I'm 100%. This is who you're going to get. Whether I'm happy or sad, or whether I got good news for you or bad news, this is how I'm going to tell you, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat sugarcoat anything, right? You're not going to meet my representative, right? I'm going to observe, digest, and react.
So, Fritz, what would you consider one of your biggest challenges you've overcome? And then what would you consider one of your biggest triumphs?
You know, my biggest challenge was my ego, right? So I was at a point where I was pretty successful, you know, as a creative in New York. I was hired by an agency in the Midwest, and I did all the cool stuff in New York. I did all the cool stuff, right? Hung out with all the cool people. You know, I went to all the cool events, right? I didn't have to wait anywhere in line, you know, so if I wanted to go to Tao, you know, I'm not waiting 3 weeks to get a reservation. I just go that day.
You
right?
were you were in the in crowd.
So my ego, when I went to the Midwest, you know, I was hired to kind of bring the cool factor, right? To certain clients that they had, right? So they needed a different look, and I was the one who was going to provide that look, right? So, and this is the interesting thing about anytime someone hires you, they say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then now they want to change you when they hire you, right? So, right? So like, oh, you can't do that, Fritz, you can't do that. Not here anyway. I'm like, hold it, but that's what they want. They hired me to do this.
Right.
So there was a point that I was getting some of the work that I just thought like, hey, you know what, I'm too cool to do that. Like why am I doing that stuff? Like, why am I doing this? Right? Like that work, right? Like I was doing photo shoots, I was traveling, I was like, why am I doing that work? So, and I was really upset. I was kind of in the place that it wasn't Fritz's place to be in, right?
Was it no longer satisfying for you at that point?
I just it wasn't satisfying, and I'd let that voice in your head tell me, kind of direct me in a different direction. Like, you know what, since they're giving you this, you know, crap work, then you just do some crap work for them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? So you're like, well, you hired me to do this and you want me to do this other thing. Well, I'm going to give you this other thing the way that you're used to having it. Right? From these creatives, I'll do it exactly like them, and that's it. And I'm done. Right?
How did that work out for you when you did that?
It didn't. So I got the same crap work, right? So, and I even expressed it like, why am I doing this crap work? I'm like, well, that's what, you know, I think the answer was everyone has to go through that.
It's like you had to pay your dues. Like eventually you have to pay for it, right?
Exactly. So I'm like, hold it. You didn't hire me to pay my dues. I already paid my dues.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, you can't roll in the places I was rolling and the creative that I was doing, the strategy that I was creating. So why am I coming over here to pay my dues?
Right. So right. This is where your ego played into that.
Exactly.
Okay.
So and the apartment that I was living in, like one whole wall was all of my drawings. So I just go and I just had all these drawings and I just draw. So it was like 40 feet of like just drawings, right? And I had like my canvas and I was just kind of sitting down, probably drinking a glass of wine. And I just said, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just flip it. I'm just going to say everything that I do from now on is going to be super sexy, super amazing. Like it's just going to be like, you're going to get Fritz on steroids, and that's it. Like if I'm here, like why am I here in the Midwest? I'm here to
make a difference.
Exactly, make a difference. To change the way people see these particular brands, and forget about this person who's kind of divvying out the work. I'm going to do what they want. That's on strategy, but the way that I see that it should be, right? I'll do exactly what you want, not a problem. You want it like
But
that?
you're
Not a
going to
problem.
put your thumbprint, your fingerprint on it. It's going to be yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I changed the way I changed my mindset, and I realized, one, I was a lot happier, right? I looked at the work differently. I looked at who, the client was targeting, and I was, jumping into their shoes, and I was understanding the reason why for them. So I started to create all of the advertising and marketing with that kind of specialness. And it became
You approach it
Exactly.
differently,
I
right?
approach
You
it-
approach it differently when you see it from that perspective versus like, what the fuck am I doing here? Why am I doing this shit job? Why am I doing this marketing for God knows what in the Midwest when I was doing this cool shit before?
Exactly. Like I was
But
hanging out with
everything
basketball celebrities,
can be
right?
cool,
Exactly, right? So
right?
You know why that happened, right?
why that happened?
You were in
Tell me.
acceptance in New York. You had paid your dues and you went to a whole new market, a whole similar
Sure.
industry, but no one knew you. You reverted back into obscurity.
Mhm.
And I know exactly what that feels like. I went in my military career, built up a pretty decent reputation for myself, got to be like known as the guy to get my stuff done. And everyone came to me and I was like, you know what? I want to make a little bit more money. And when I got commissioned, went through flight school, got back, and they're like, no one knows you, bro. That 12 years, that 13 years you already did in the military, we can't tell. We can't see that on you. We don't know about that stuff. So here's all the crap work again.
Ugh.
Exactly. And then I changed my mindset, and everything started falling into place. And I did some creative that when they presented to the client, they were like, we like this, and we want, and it was something small, right? So whatever it was something small. And they were like, we want everything to look like that.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Isn't that
the
funny?
TV campaign, we want like the web, we want everything to look like it, right? So that happened once. Then it happened again. And then the group creative director was like, hold it. This is happening way too many times. Let's get Fritz in the room early so we don't have to do this twice.
Ah, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that's where, that's what I tell everyone. I said, listen, you know what? Change your mindset. Like you have, two people on your shoulder. One's going to tell you one thing in your ear, and the other one's going to tell you something else. You got to drown out the one that's not going to help you get to your goal. And that's it. Like, and the one that's not going to help you get to your goal, that person's going to be loud. Trust me.
Ah.
You got to make sure you drown that person out, because whatever you tell yourself, you're always right. That's it.
Whatever
You
tell
got to
yourself, you're
trust
always right.
yourself.
I love that.
You also have to trust your choices that you make too.
Yeah.
I think most of us question our choices too much, and that's where things can get muddled.
We don't trust our instinct. We don't
Absolutely.
learn to trust our instinct, especially in our society, right? In other societies and cultures, instinct is high up there. Right now, instinct is something that we don't trust, right? So we have.
Why do
to
you think
learn
that is?
Maybe just programming, right? So you'll have like you call it a vibe. Let's say, you get on the train and someone else gets on the train, and like that person just feels like it's up to no good. But
Energy,
since you don't
right?
want to
The
offend
energy
that
you
person,
feel.
Absolutely.
you stay there. Or like when you go into elevator door opens, there's one person in the elevator, and this is, I tell my daughter and my wife is listening. You go somewhere, elevator door opens, and there's somebody in there that you're not comfortable with, do not get in an elevator.
Get
I
out.
don't care.
Walk
Just
away.
Just all you have to do is be like, don't be afraid of offending someone, right? Because your instinct,
Oh,
the vibe that you're getting,
it's about safety, for fuck's sake. I mean,
what is the
Yeah.
vibe, right? It's
Yeah.
the instinct. You're just like, what
I
your
think
instinct is,
women
and
though, Fritz, don't you think women are better at instinct, because it's part of our nature. I mean, we have to protect our children. And I know as a mom, it was very instinctual for me to read people's energy around the room, because I wanted to make sure my children were safe. And I think maybe that's part of the nurture in us. You know, it allows us this ability to have that intuition.
I would agree with mothers. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women who are not mothers, I would say that that's something that here that they have to learn. Like, hey, it's okay for me to say no, and it's okay for me to not put myself in a situation because I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. I can hurt that person's feelings, and I can apologize later. Like,
why do you even have to hurt that person's feelings? Just because you make a choice not to get on the elevator, or you choose to get off of the elevator, it's not hurting that person, right?
Yeah, we're trained to almost feel that way.
Yeah. We talked about this with Amelia, right? Amelia Antonetti. She said it was late, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and the door opens and there's a bunch of dudes in the elevator, and she's just there by herself. And she paused because she didn't want to get in. And they say, like, you know, sometimes it's okay, you know, black men, not all black men are bad. And she was like, no, it was not because you were black men. It's because you were men and I'm a single woman. Because they were able to actually articulate the conversation and not just leave it at the initial feeling, right? Because they actually said what they were feeling, they were able to get past it easily. And I hear that, you know, Snoop's not that bad in person, so it worked out.
He's not that bad. He's not that bad. So
it's one of those things. Like, so you're in Houston now. You are Haitian, is that right?
Half Haitian and half Dominican.
Half Haitian, half Dominican. New York, that seems like there's a huge population. Haitian, Dominican, Republican, a lot of Caribbean ends up in the New York area. Is it the same with your job in the Midwest? Because you were in Nashville for a while, right?
No, I was in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, yeah, right up the road. What was that like going from there to being in part of the whitest part of the country?
It was actually, I had from a friendship standpoint, I had like one of the best times of my life as an adult, right? So some of the closest friends that I had are from Louisville, Kentucky, right? And, you know, we did drink a lot of bourbon. Right?
Yeah.
How did you end up in Kentucky?
So I was recruited. So I was working with that agency on the weekend, and they'll fly me in, and I worked on all the vices: alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and then healthcare, right? So, you know, heartland of America. So, you know, all those brands.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's interesting because, you know, once you understand how to market between New York and LA, and that's where you make your money as a business, right? You can have your cool factor on the coast, if you will.
Yeah.
But you're going to make your money in between New York and LA.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if you want to build a brand, the United States is the #1 brand builder on the planet, hands down. Hands down. I had a client from Mexico, or a potential client from Mexico. He had 400 chicken places in Mexico, and he was like, you know, everybody knows us. Everybody knows us. You know, I'm like, okay, in Mexico, everybody knows you guys.
Right.
In the States, he's like, oh, in Mexico, KFC, we've killed KFC. You know, so all the tourists, they love our product. And I'm like, okay, great. I said, let me tell you about brands, especially American brands. I said, I could go right now in front of your headquarters and you pick wherever you want. You want to go to Mexico City? That's fine. All right. I can ask anybody who's walking in the street, 10 brands, American brands, and they will know them all. I'll even tell you, and I'll even name celebrities too. Right. I said, they all know Levi's. They all know Apple, right? They all know, pick a Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, like they all know them, right? So I went down the list. I said, they also know Elvis. They all like the list of American brands that globally, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, like that we as America, we built, right? Now, I want you to give me, so you could go right now, you can ask me and my staff, or you can go downstairs, so there's no bias. Ask them about 10 brands that are from your country and throw in some celebrities. I'll throw in Salma Hayek, okay? I'll throw it in Corona, right? So all you got left is 8.
How'd that go?
They were like, they were naming brands. I'm like, dude, nobody knows them outside of your country.
Mm-hmm.
I said, America builds brands. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, and luxury brands, then you have France and Italy, right?
Yes.
So outside of that, everything is niche.
Very true.
Totally, America builds brands, hands down.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Something like this, like the branding process for like Titan Evolution podcast, and what we wanted it to be and what we wanted it to stand for. These really valuable conversations with guests like yourself that really want to go deep and talk about that stuff. Like we spent a lot of time figuring out which kind of Titans we want. We wanted to make sure that Hera was first on the picture and not Zeus, because it matters, right? It really does. It's not about us. It's not about me. It's not about Carol. It's fully focused on you and your experience and your journey, because people talk to you about branding all day long, right? But they don't ever get to know the cool Fritz, the laid back Fritz, like Carol and I know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So do I drink coffee, hot chocolate, tea? What do I drink? Right? What's your favorite color, Travis?
My favorite color is green.
Green. Carol?
Red.
Green means go. Green means money. Green means you're envious of me. Come on.
Green is actually one of the colors that your eye perceive easily or first. So,
Yeah.
hence that's why we have green in our color.
Yep.
in our brand.
Green is prosperity in the Chinese culture. So
I was listening to a comedian. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like, we don't even say like Happy New Year. We just say like money. I hope you get good money. You have good money this year. Is that true? Have you heard this?
are you talking about Asian culture?
Yeah. As far as I understand, I'm a
It's
Norwegian
about
from Minnesota.
prosperity and wealth for the new year. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're walking around. They don't want you to start a new year. They're like, money, money,
about
you got money,
Dominicans and
money,
Haitians,
money,
Carol.
money, money. Not, I hope you're doing well. Not your kids are fine, but they're like,
Money,
money.
money.
I hope you have a great money year. Like,
It's actually hope you have a prosperous year.
Right?
right. But the comedian put his slant on it to make the joke.
I got it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything that we do in the new year, including setting up the house for feng shui and all the stuff that we do in colors and certain corners, like a fortune tree where a Buddha needs to sit, all those things have a huge relevance in how we conduct ourselves for the new year. It's if we want prosperity to come into our house, we have to make the home a welcoming environment for it to come in and stay there. Because you can have prosperity come into your home, but then you can also have that prosperity exit your home. It's about keeping the prosperity in.
I know a young lady by the name Prosperity.
Sorry?
Where does she strip at?
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. It just took a nosedive.
Well, I mean, I've been in Vegas all week, so the topic of prosperity has come up.
Oh, okay.
Recently. Yeah.
And how about destiny?
Prosperity, Destiny, Tiffany, all my favorite E's, without a doubt.
Okay. Well, just make sure you have the right credit card with you.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
What's that one movie where, God, who was it? Where, was it Jennifer Lopez and the gals that were
oh,
like, God, do
oh,
you remember that movie?
yeah, it was about
They
they
were
were
ripping off the guys. They were like, they were drugging them and ripping them off. And oh, it was crazy.
you got to watch your drinks everywhere you go, especially in
That's
Vegas.
so true.
The first person I met when I'm sitting with a friend of mine. So, oh, this is my friend Caitlin. Right, we're talking, and she's like, "Look, I'm gonna let you know right up front. I have a pretty high roofie tolerance. If you're not gonna invest at least 2 roofies in me, just don't even waste your pills." And I'm like, "Oh my god, I was so glad I got to meet you." I was like, "I have a 3 roofie tolerance. I can't believe that you know that about yourself. That is good to know. That is valuable information." She's like, "Yeah, don't waste one of these on me." But
I have to introduce it to a friend of mine because my buddy is just like that. Like we would go out and he would have like a coming to Jesus to everybody before we went out. Said, listen, I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to offend you, and you, because I just felt like that you guys are already. He said, I'm going to apologize right now. Okay.
Oh,
And I'm going to disappear. So if Fritz knows I'm going to disappear and not come back for an hour, he's not going to freak out. But the rest of you do not look for me. He knows I'm coming back.
I love that. I love that.
that.
I love that we mentioned about the drink thing. My son just turned, he's a freshman in high school, and he's completely oblivious to women yet. He's completely oblivious to most of the terrible things out there, like women. And he was going to a party.
I'm right here. I'm right here, Travis. I'm just saying. Holy fuck. What was that all about?
It's hilarious. So anyone listening, if this is your first show you're listening to, I'm sorry about that comment. Go listen to the rest of them. I love women. Huge on women's empowerment. I just haven't jabbed at Carol. We had last week off, so I haven't got to like.
That's true.
Jab
You
with
didn't.
Carol lately.
You haven't gotten the little tweak in for me.
Little like yeah. But he went to his first. He's going to his first party, and I'm like, well, I need to sit down and talk to him about, drugs, alcohol, sex, all those things. Leaving your drink is like, if you set your drink down, and you walk away, it's a new drink. It's a new drink, and I told him why. If you find yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in, you're going to call me, and I'm going to come get you. I might not be the happiest person, right? Give me a minute to calm down. Like, there's going to be an initial like, right? Let me calm down. I love you. I'm on your team. If you want to try this stuff, I understand. But let's talk about it beforehand. Don't just pretend that it doesn't exist.
It's not going to happen to you because trust me, it happens to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's happened to me and I never thought it would. So it's a very interesting thing when you have those discussions with your kids. I never felt like I had to. And I didn't get roofied until like later on in life.
Were you in Vegas with Matt Russell when he got roofied?
What? He got roofied?
Yeah, that was like the whole thing.
No!
He went to that first course that was in Vegas. And I forget, I think it was
oh my God.
It might have been Larry Green that was with him. He like wasn't feeling so well, started slurring his speech. He's like, man, I'm just really tired. Our guys, people that we know, got him up to the room, and he didn't like emerge until noon the next day. And the only explanation that we could come up with was that he got roofied.
Yeah. And it's fast. I mean, and you start making excuses like, oh, maybe I'm really tired, or I'm really stressed out. And you can't explain the way you feel, because usually you can down 2 or 3 drinks, and here you can barely finish one and you're all over the place and you're not even coherent. It is frightening.
Yeah, and you also got to watch out with some of those drinks at certain places, like, because you have no idea what they're putting in it.
True.
Right?
Yeah, they have the mixologists that are going crazy. You never know. I had a strange experience last night. I'm not going to get really into the bizarre situation. There was like a missing phone. The staff end up stealing it, and then we end up finding it and getting it back. But I want to talk about bourbon because they had Blanton's on the wall. And I was like, oh, Blanton's. I love Blanton's. How much for a shot? How much for a shot of Blanton's? And they were like, this is the strange part. And Fritz, you're gonna back me up. It was $17 a shot. And for those of you listening that don't know, I've paid $85 for a shot of Bland's. So I was completely surprised that it was so low.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right at all. And the math didn't even add up.
Two things happen. They either they put in the POS system wrong.
Oh, okay.
Or that what's inside of it is not
100%.
Or they're ripping off the owner of the bar. It's probably the third option.
Or that's another one that they'll buy it and they'll sell.
Yeah. It was absolutely crazy. As we're getting ready to wrap the show up and come to close here, Fritz, I want to know a couple things from you. One, I want to know what advice you would have someone out there that's struggling right now. How can you help them get there through that? And then number two, what is the one place you want people to find you and connect with you? Okay,
so can you repeat yourself one more time? Because I heard the end of it. So
one is if anyone's struggling out there, what advice would you have to help them get through their thing that they're working through? And then the one place they can connect with you directly.
Okay, so if anyone's if they're struggling with personal challenges or business challenges, right? Don't be afraid to reach out to someone you know, trust, and respect, because a lot of times we do not want to reach out. And it's always good to have a tribe that you can trust, right? That they're not going to judge you. They're going to see you for who you are, and they honestly want you to win, right? We have this, like, the ego doesn't allow you to ask for assistance, right? And we should realize that the people around us, our tribe, they want us to win, right? And you can identify who doesn't want you to win. That's easy, right? You just have to trust someone to be vulnerable enough to, like, hey, listen, this is what's going on, and I need some assistance in this, or can you help me, right?
Yeah.
If someone wants to reach me, they can always go to, for branding and marketing, being found online. We help a wide variety of businesses get found online, especially small businesses, right? That's near and dear to my heart, right? RetnaMedia.com, RetnaMedia.com, or you can contact me directly at fritz@retnamedia.com. So it's FRITZ at retnamedia.com. It's just like the Hotel Ritz, but with an F in front of it.
Yeah, I like it. You also told me last time we spoke that you do this cool thing where you'll help people get all of their online presences updated, because as phone numbers change or locations change or LLC or DBAs change, like, they have all these different entities that are existing out in the world of the internet, and no one can really find you. They might find one of those old things and not be able to connect with you. That's something that you do too, right?
So what we do is is our business listing. So we correct your online business information across the internet. So over 166 business listings. So, you open up a business, you have this telephone number, that address, and then a year later you change the telephone number or the email address. And then you'll have like a Bing or Yahoo, they pull that information, they scrape the internet, they pull that information. Now they're pushing, bad information, right? So whether it's Yelp, so I've corrected, businesses where Yelp, their telephone number is wrong on Yelp, right? And we do that for you. So, and it's just every month we're fixing 3 or 4 at a time. Right. So if someone wants to do that manually or on their own, it'll take between 40 and 60 hours, just to get that done. So we do that for you on a consistent basis, right? And we help build up your Google business profile in doing so.
Oh, wonderful.
So, and it's not that expensive either. So
he's lying. It's super expensive. All his shit is top quality. Like, it's not that expensive. It's only like 10 G's a week. We'll get you hooked up.
No, it's Actually, that service is actually $397 a month.
Oh, that's like super reasonable. Well, hey,
Yes,
Fritz, thank you so much for being our guest today. Tell your brother Stalin that I loved when he was playing for the Vikings in the late 90s. Did a great job.
Okay,
Carol,
awesome.
anything you would like to add?
No, Fritz is the best. Love the dude. He's the real deal. I've had the opportunity to speak to him, and he speaks from the heart. He does things from the heart. Love the guy.
Thank you guys. I appreciate your time. Thank you for having me on. I can't wait for this to air. This is going to be super amazing. You two are just titans in the industry and heroes. So thank you again.
Thanks so much, brother.
That's all for this episode of Titan Evolution Podcast. We hope this no-holds-barred conversation opened your eyes on what it takes to live a genuinely happy life according to your own terms. Now that you've treated yourself to such a refreshing discussion, you cannot listen to nonsense content anymore. Be sure not to miss an episode by subscribing to the show at TitanEvolutionPodcast.com. Don't forget to share the word so more people can be enlightened, informed, and entertained. Thank you for listening.